Do you like extorting people for monetary gain? Do you also like putting marriages in jeopardy by lowballing weak husbands on errands for their wives? Does the thought of sending adventurers to their deaths for the low cost of a mushroom sound enticing to you? Then you may have a problem. You may also really enjoy Recettear. You play as Recett, who has inherited her father's crushing debt and is forced to repay it by converting her home into an item shop. Joined by her loan shark Tyr, she is forced into the ways of the merchant. Being the mentally underdeveloped person that Recett is, she wholeheartedly agrees to pay back the debt accrued by her deadbeat father, who went off to fight a dragon, as she sees it as a better alternative than selling her internal organs on the black market. Unfortunately, these items aren't going to sell themselves, so much like Gavlin, we need to learn how to wheel and deal. A brief romp around the town introduces us to everything we'll need to get started. Buying from the Merchant Guild and the market gives us the necessary goods we'll need to fund our endeavors. The Adventurers Guild will get you set up with somebody dumb enough to risk their lives for you, and the chapel? Well, the chapel and town square don't really seem to do anything outside of progress the story a bit. You can even go to the pub for postings such as finding a lost cat or even temptations of the flesh. Once things are established, it's time to get right down to business. Setting up your store is a snap, and you just simply put items on display and wait for the business to come to you. This is the meat and potatoes of the experience and where you'll be spending most of your time. Haggling prices on items requires knowing the customer, knowing the market, and most importantly, knowing yourself. Experience is gained by completing transactions, and being able to chain them is key. If your price is questionable or completely absurd, the customers will deny you your sweet combo experience, stunting your growth as an item repository empire. This is where you need to make the hard choices. Do you extort the elderly to get into those deep retirement pockets at the cost of rumors being spread? Do you sell to children at a discount because they're peasants who can't even afford 100% of the base price? Or do you tell the coupon shopping housewives to go fuck themselves because 120% markup is too much for them and they will grin at you as your combo multiplier dies on the spot? The choice is yours. As you level up, you'll unlock new stuff and ways to actually sell and receive items. Buy low and sell high is the name of the game, and you need to be on top of things. People will place orders several days in advance, and being able to fulfill these orders will bring the cash rolling in, but you also have the option of buying items from customers, and this can be extremely profitable, especially when you deal with someone like Louie, who is actually so stupid that he sold me an item for half the base value and then bought it back the next day for double the price. Truly a gem in the rough, this one, but boy can he swing a sword. Speaking of, going to the dungeon is a pretty straightforward experience. You explore floors and gain items from treasure chests and enemy drops. However, you can only hold a set amount of items and need to make some tough choices like, do I want healing items for the boss, or this back scratcher I just found? As you progress, the difficulty will ramp up, and getting back alive can become a toss-up depending on who you're playing as. There are multiple heroes you can unlock throughout the story, and they will all become customers in your store. This is where one of the more annoying aspects comes into play, because in order to get permanent equipment upgrades on your heroes, you need to sell them items. If they by chance purchase the equipment for their class, they will have that item forever until you change it out. You can just give them items before a dungeon, but it isn't permanent and it takes up inventory slots, meaning you will be able to carry less for this round. So what's the point of going to the dungeon then? Well, this is the only place you can get precious ingredients for item fusion. Item fusion is a tedious task because it mostly relies on pure luck of the drop, but if you find the necessary ingredients, you can create some pretty powerful and, more importantly, profitable gear. These items typically sell for large amounts, and some of them can be made with little effort, while the later levels of fusion items can require some pretty rare stuff. Knowledge of the market is important to paying off your debts. There's a news ticker that will appear at the top of the screen at different times of the day, and this will alert you to everything that is going on, from the price of metal items skyrocketing to racial tensions in the north. Sell too many of the same item and you'll even crash the price, making it essentially worthless until the market can stabilize. This is why it's important to carry a large variety of items, because if you put all your eggs in one basket, that basket will be worth more than the eggs themselves by the end of the day. Hell, I even had the price of something drop and then restore itself in the same ticker announcement. This game is wild. Armed with this knowledge, you should be able to pay back your crippling debt as you watch it rise every week by astronomical proportions. But odds are, unless you're a capitalistic genius, you're going to run into some problems. Thankfully, the game has you covered, and you can carry over everything into a new game and try again. After wrapping up the main story, you'll be thrust into post-game where you can continue the story without the dread of needing to meet a weekly quota. This is where the dungeons get longer and more dangerous, as well as more things open up to you, like the different fusion recipes and new adventurers. There's also an endless mode that will increase the debt ceiling more and more until it eventually crushes you. Recettear is an incredible game. It's simple and effective in its execution and offers a basic concept that plays out in a way that appeals to your carnal desires for monetary gain. While there isn't anything too complex going on, the mechanical details work back into themselves in a way that feels like you're moving forward to an end goal, and the experience you gain along the way contributes back into the core gameplay. As things start to expand, you can see the inner workings of how to deal with different customers and customize your shop in a way that streamlines efficiency and has a wider appeal. I just wish the dungeon layouts were a little more complex because they're typically just a bunch of boxes strung together by hallways, and it can be a bit dry at times, but they're functional, and that's good enough for me. I say give this one a shot for sure. It takes a little while to get into it, but once you gain a few levels and start to unlock some stuff, you'll be wheeling and dealing with the best of them. There's no regard for the feelings of others, and the only thing that talks the talk in this game is cold hard cash. Capitalism, ho!